What's up, everybody? Marvel the Cross 316 back with another comic book flashback. Today we are looking at Fantastic Four issue number 10. This issue came out in January of 1963, and today we are looking at the return of Doctor Doom. This is going to be Doctor Doom's third appearance. And so we have a great issue to look at today. And we're also, in this issue, going to see an appearance of Jack Kirby and Stan Lee. So that's going to be pretty exciting. So let's go ahead and dive on into today's story. Today's title is The Return of Doctor Doom. Doesn't get more simpler than that. And as always, this is brought to you by, again, Jack Kirby and Stan Lee. Let's go ahead and get on into today's story. We have some pretty good surprises. As I said, we have an appearance of Jack Kirby and Stan Lee, and also the return of Doctor Doom. And so we begin the issue here, and we have Mr. Fantastic, and we have the Human Torch, and we also have the Invisible Girl. And we see here that Mr. Fantastic is using his X-ray camera, using radioactive film to see how he can learn more about the powers of the Invisible Girl. Because as we know, this is the 10th issue. The Fantastic Four are still pretty new on the scene in New York City. And so Reed Richards, being the scientific genius of the team, is trying to figure out all the different powers of the Fantastic Four members, including the Invisible Girl. We've seen how he's experimented on Ben Grimm in the past, who is the Thing, and now he's experimenting with Sue Storm's powers. All of a sudden, we see that the Invisible Girl looks out the window and she sees that the flare gun has been shot. And whenever the flare gun is shot in the air, there seems to be trouble going on. And so that's exactly how the Fantastic Four, and we see in these early issues, are alerted about danger. Is whenever one of the members of the Fantastic Four shoots off their flare gun, they run and check up on their team member. So we see here that they're going to have to get to their Fantastic car as soon as possible, but it seems that the door is locked. So Mr. Fantastic is going to try to stretch his arm all the way, but then he notices that he gets to the pogo plane instead, and he stretches way too far, and he stretches to his limit, so he can't do it. So then we learn here that they're just going to have to figure out a different way to get to Ben Grimm. And we learn here also in this issue that Ben Grimm and Alicia Masters, who we met 2 issues ago with the first appearance of the Puppet Master, she's the stepdaughter of the Puppet Master, and we see that Ben Grimm and Alicia Masters have struck up a romantic relationship. So we learn that in this issue. So again, the paparazzi are after the Fantastic Four. Whenever they are seen in the streets, they basically are run down, or they're always trying, people are trying to get their attention. Finally, the Fantastic Four get to Alicia Masters' apartment, and we kind of find out that they are in fact not looking into danger. They're not going into danger, really. It's just that the Thing wanted to get the Fantastic Four's attention because Alicia Masters, as we've seen in the past couple issues, she's very talented. She's very talented sculptor. She sculpts different clay objects, and what she's done is she's sculpted all of the different figures and different villains that the Fantastic Four have fought in the past. And so one of them, as we see here, is Namor, who the Fantastic Four have fought in the past, and we see that even though Reed Richards has some feelings towards Sue Storms here, we see that Sue also has feelings towards Namor. And so that's something we got to think about as well. So here we go now. We're looking at the first time that Jack Kirby and Stan Lee make an appearance in the Fantastic Four issues here. And so we see here that this is kind of strange. Why would they draw themselves into this issue? Well, we come to find out that even though they are the creators of the Fantastic Four, we learn here that in this universe, that Jack Kirby and Stan Lee are also comic book creators, and since the Fantastic Four are so, you know, popular, they're the ones that are coming up with the stories in this universe. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. And so we see here that they also stay in contact with the members of the Fantastic Four to come up with different ideas for villains, and they basically are like they just keep up with the Fantastic Four, and they're writing stories for kids. And all of a sudden, as they're talking about Doctor Doom, and because they know about how Doctor Doom and what happened to him last time we saw Doctor Doom, all of a sudden Doctor Doom makes an appearance as he goes into the studio, and to their surprise, they come to find out that Doctor Doom is in fact alive. And so we see that the last time we saw Doctor Doom was in issue number 6. So now let's figure out how he came back. As we go into part 2, we come to find out that Doctor Doom wants Jack Kirby and Stan to call the Fantastic Four. He wants to see them immediately. And this is where we see Doctor Doom is going to set up his big plan here. And so, what is this big plan? We'll see here as soon enough that Reed Richards is going to go it alone, and this is where it's just not good. It's not good that Reed Richards is going on his own, because he's going to fall into Doctor Doom's trap here. And as Reed Richards finally gets to the studio or the room, then we see that he is hit by this big gas, the pellet from Doctor Doom's gun, and all of a sudden, Doctor Doom and Reed Richards are gone. And so then we come to, in the next scene here, that we learn all about how Doctor Doom survived in issue number 6 as he was hurtling through space on this meteor from issue 6. He comes across this race of aliens, and they were called the Ovoids. And these Ovoids have these special powers to do as they will. They can do mind control, and they can also, as we see here, when a person is dying on the planet, they can harvest new bodies so that they are practically immortal. And so, as Doctor Doom gets to know this race of alien ovoids, this race of ovoids send Doctor Doom back to Earth, and now Doctor Doom has been plotting his revenge against the Fantastic Four, and this is how he's going to do it. He's going to basically body snatch Reed Richards' body. And so what we see here is that Doctor Doom and Reed Richards, they switch bodies. And so now in the body of Reed Richards, it's really the mind of Doctor Doom, and now in the body of Doctor Doom is the mind of Reed Richards. And this is how Doctor Doom is going to try to defeat the Fantastic Four. And so, as we come to see that the thing smashes through the door, as Lee and Kirby had alerted the rest of the Fantastic Four members that Doctor Doom had kidnapped Mr. Fantastic, and as we get to part 3, now we see that Reed Richards is going to have a hard time explaining to his other members that I am not Doctor Doom. This is Mr. Fantastic that is speaking, but of course the other members of the Fantastic Four don't know that Doctor Doom and Reed Richards had switched bodies. And so this is going to play on throughout the rest of this issue as we come to find out that Doctor Doom is going to earn the trust of the other members of the Fantastic Four as he is in the body of Mr. Fantastic. We see here that Mr. Fantastic, who is in the body of Doctor Doom, is locked in this plexiglass prison here, and he doesn't have that much air left in it. He only has these 3 capsules. And pay attention to these 3 capsules, because they will play a big role later on as we continue in this issue. And so we see here that Doctor Doom walks away gloating how he has basically sealed the fate of the other members of the Fantastic Four, and he's going to get his revenge. Now let's go into part 4, and we see here it's No Place to Turn. And so we get to the next day, and the three members of the Fantastic Four notice that there are, strangely enough, these small animals walking around, and they look like they've been missing because they belong to a zoo. Well, we see here that Reed Richards explains to the other members of the Fantastic Four that these small animals are, yes, they belong to the zoo, but they're being experimented on by this reducing ray. And so, again, this is Doctor Doom who's speaking. This is really not Reed Richards. And so what we come to find out is that Doctor Doom is planning on using this shrinking ray on the other members of the Fantastic Four, and if he continues to keep that ray on the other members of the Fantastic Four, they will shrink to nothingness. That's his big plan, but we see here that Doctor Doom is actually planning on, tricking these members of the Fantastic Four by saying you're going to get fame and fortune by getting under this ray, and they're dumb enough to believe it. And so we see here that finally Doctor Doom, or Reed Richards, who's in the body of Doctor Doom, learns how to get out of this plexiglass prison by using those three canisters to break the plexiglass. And so finally, we see here that Doctor Doom, or Reed Richards, is in the Doctor Doom body. That's hard to explain this, but I think you're getting the point here as we go into part 5, that this is the last part, as now Reed Richards is going to try to explain to the other members of the Fantastic Four that he is not Doctor Doom. And so, again, I think Jack Kirby's artwork definitely has gotten better as the issues have been going on and on. We see here that the three members of the Fantastic Four bring Doctor Doom's body back to Reed Richards, who is Doctor Doom. And now Doctor Doom is going to have to figure out a way that he can use this shrinking ray on the three members of the Fantastic Four in enough time so that he can deal with Reed Richards. But we see here that Reed Richards tries to stop him, and then we see that the other members of the Fantastic Four are becoming very suspicious about this Doctor Doom who might be in Reed Richards' body. So then all of a sudden we see that there's this bomb about to go off, and then we see Doctor Doom dives to save the Fantastic Four, and then Mr. Fantastic tries to go up this vent. So we see here that Doctor Doom is exposed. They switch minds and bodies again, so now Doctor Doom is back in his original body, and so Doctor Doom is now trapped as he is in a big circle with all the members of the Fantastic Four. We see here that Doctor Doom then uses this miniaturized atomic blast gun within his index finger, tries to aim it at Mr. Fantastic but misses, and then he unfortunately causes the ray to turn on, and then he is bathed in the effects of that shrinking ray. And now what Doctor Doom had planned to use on the Fantastic Four is now coming upon himself. And so Doctor Doom is now shrunk into nothingness. And so is this the last time that we will see of Doctor Doom? I don't think so, but then again, characters always come and go as they go throughout the comic book universe. So this probably won't be the last time we see of Doctor Doom, but I hope you like this issue. And before I close today's issue, how about this? A pinup page of the Invisible Girl. What about that? Woo woo! Doesn't get any better than that. So I hope you liked it, and we'll be looking at issue number 11 next time. But until next time, keep reading comics.